In 2011, President Obama legalized crowdfunding when he signed the Jobs Act into law. As soon as crowdfunding hit the scene, people scrambled to try their hand at taking money from people, whether honestly or dishonestly. This is probably because there are a lot of people who think they have amazing ideas, but it's also because there are a lot of people who want to separate idiots from their money. Think about it. With crowdfunding, you can sell your product without even having to make it first. Corporations have been doing it for years, but this was the first time that ordinary people were able to do it. So we're going to go over the top 15 biggest crowdfunding scams and failures of all time. Launching satellites into space to prove the Earth is flat. On September 21st, 2017, rapper Bob started a GoFundMe campaign requesting $200,000 to help him launch a bunch of satellites into space and help him prove that the Earth is flat. It started after a Twitter user by the name of Tim Pasteur tweeted this. He said, "They're always asking for an experiment they can do at home. So here's one, crowdfund a satellite and go look for the edge." Bob retweeted his reply saying, "Actually, that's a great idea," followed by 100 emojis. And then he created the GoFundMe campaign requesting $200,000. A little while after it started, Bob made an update video saying that he wanted to do all kinds of different things, so he was going to need to raise the requested amount to $1 million so that he could make blimps and weather balloons and all, I don't know, drones, like what? Whatever, but it didn't work. Basically, it didn't work. Anyway, it's now been almost 2 years, and despite raising $7,000, Bob has yet to launch a single satellite or blimp or anything or do anything with it. Jennifer Cataldo tried raising a bunch of money for her medical bills. Starting in 2014 and ending in May of 2017, Jennifer Cataldo had a GoFundMe account where she requested money to help her pay for her medical bills due to a terminal cancer diagnosis. In 2017, it was discovered that she had diagnosed herself with the cancer, and then she was arrested and put on trial for fraud. She told the court that she realized she had cancer after her brother had crowdfunded thousands of dollars for his medical bills. She was then sentenced to 25 months in prison after a doctor failed to find any evidence of her having cancer. According to court documents, she raised over $260,000 over the 2-year period. And as far as I know, she's still serving time for wire and bank fraud. Crystal Wash 2.0 was a remote-controlled laundry detergent substitute. Please tell me nobody. $268,000.
With Crystal Wash, you take these 2 bowls and put them in your...
All right, that's enough. That sounds absolutely ridiculous. Let's read the comments because, for all we know, this stuff actually works. Apparently, if you copy-paste this comment, you can get your money back from Kickstarter or something. Or maybe it's all just wishful thinking, but everyone is saying the exact same thing. All right, so I looked up laundry balls, and according to Wikipedia, the producers of laundry balls often make pseudoscientific exaggerations about their efficiency, like saying that everything they say they do, it hasn't been proven. It says they're just as effective or less effective than just washing your clothes with hot water. So needless to say, they haven't been able to create this remote-controlled laundry detergent replacement thing, and I guess their selling point was that it has an app that can tell you when your laundry is clean, except you don't need an app to tell you when your laundry is clean because if you pay a little bit extra when you're buying one, it'll come with a feature that beeps when the laundry is done. The Dragonfly Future Fun. The Dragonfly Future Fun is a phone, I guess, or more specifically, it's a foldable Android laptop phone created by visionary inventor Jeff Badio. This is genius, a foldable computer. How has nobody ever thought of that? Apparently, he was able to raise over $700,000 on Indiegogo. Let's see what this thing's all about.
Introducing the Dragonfly. By folding and transforming, Dragonfly provides the devices you already use in an elegant new form, creating one device out of 3 to truly simplify your life.
All right, I've seen enough. I have no idea why anybody would want this monstrosity. It's such an unoriginal idea. It's literally 2 cheap tablets pushed together. For such a stupidly simple concept, I'm surprised that he wasn't actually able to make it. You can buy one of those door hinge things at Walmart and just screw the laptops together. But apparently he's been doing this type of investor scamming since 2003, and crowdfunding made it 10 times easier for him. That's weird. I can't seem to find any pictures of Jeff Badio on the internet. That's not a red flag. You'd think there would be at least some pictures of him on the internet by now, considering he's been charged with 12 fraud charges that could get him 20 years each. That's 240 years in prison. According to this, since he started in the early 2000s, he raised over $5 million from investors over the years. And then when he ran out of investors, he switched to crowdfunding sites to give it another go. What's weird is that he could have avoided committing fraud if he had just not lied about his products. Maybe the lies were a huge part of him getting the funding, though. Alright, so the Triton was described by its creators as the world's first artificial gills. They claimed it could pull oxygen out of the water without the diver having to go back up to the surface. The campaign went viral and raised over $800,000 from supporters, but it also gained a lot of criticism from skeptics. It was eventually discovered that they were lying about the artificial gills, and the breather actually had 2 tiny compressed air tanks that they were using in all of the advertisements and commercials. If you look at the picture of the breather, each side had an air tank in it. The most ironic thing about this whole campaign is that they probably didn't need to lie to get people to support their product. If they had just been honest and explained that it was just a miniature scuba tank, people still probably would have supported it. I'm sure they wouldn't have supported the $2,000 proposed retail price per unit though. So I guess that explains the incentive to lie. Regardless, being able to dive for 12 minutes at a time, in my opinion, is still better than diving for only 1 minute at a time. Protesters started sending Indiegogo a bunch of documentation proving that their product was impossible, or at least that they were lying about having created the product. And then Indiegogo shut down their campaign and refunded all of the people who had given money to them. Since then, the company did attempt at creating a new crowdfunding campaign that was more honest about it being a miniature scuba tank, but their reputation had already destroyed their chances of getting any public funding. The Pop Slate 2 was a phone case that added a second screen to your phone, as well as an e-reader, a smartwatch, and extra battery. It basically reproduced your phone screen with e-ink, like the Amazon Kindle black and white type of digital screen. The campaign raised over $1.1 million from Indiegogo. They originally promised to deliver the product in July of 2016, but they didn't. In March of 2017, the company announced they entered into the legal process of dissolution and that they wouldn't be refunding anybody's money. One of the reasons the company ran out of money is because Apple claimed the product didn't comply with their iPhone rules, which forced them to waste a bunch of money in redesigning it. So technically you could blame Apple for their failure, but in my opinion, it's 100% their fault because they shouldn't have promised a product that relied on a third party's consent. At the very least, they should have designed a product and confirmed it with Apple before asking for everyone's money. The Tico was a miniature 3D printer with the catchphrase, "The 3D printer you've been waiting for." And they really hit the nail on the head with that slogan, although they probably didn't realize that at first. Anyway, they were promoted by Kickstarter as a staff pick and quickly gained around $3 million in support. That's a lot of money for repackaging a 3D printer. I actually don't remember if 3D printers were around back then. I mean, because it would make sense if it was one of the first 3D printers, I guess, but I don't think it was. I think they were just making a smaller 3D printer. All they really needed to do was manufacture a 3D printer at that point. And $3 million, in my opinion, is enough money to do that. But I guess it wasn't. They did eventually ship out 4,000 printers before calling it quits. It seems like this is a common problem with crowdfunding companies. They promise a really low product price because that encourages people to donate. But in the end, the price isn't actually enough for them to complete their promised product. This is what happens when you hand a bunch of noobs the keys to a multi-million-dollar business, I guess. The Lozano was a miniature drone with a high-definition camera. So basically, another unimpressive drone. The product was promoted as a Kickstarter staff pick and was also listed in Popular Science magazine as one of 2015's 100 Amazing Innovations. Which is weird considering the reason they went bankrupt is because they failed to create a product that matched the original description, which kind of sounds like they never actually made one to begin with. But that would imply that Popular Science magazine called a non-existent product an amazing innovation. The campaign raised over $3.2 million from 12,000 backers, and they even eventually delivered around 600 partially functional drones before filing for bankruptcy. This made the 600 drones that they actually did deliver completely useless because they needed to connect to a server at their headquarters that was no longer functional because they were shutting the business down. And now, the Lozano is considered to be one of the first high-profile Kickstarter failures. After it failed, Kickstarter even hired an investigative reporter to try figuring out why it failed. The coolest cooler. This thing is basically a cooler that has a blender, a Bluetooth speaker, and a USB charger built into it.
One of the biggest hassles of outdoor fun is hauling your gear back and forth from the car, and I've experimented with various ways to solve the problem.
I feel like it's obvious that this video is exaggerating the difficulties of life to increase the product's appeal. Look at this. They're implying you need all this clunky stuff to enjoy yourself at the beach. As if smartphones couldn't replace your 1980s cassette player. Oh, and your grill. This futuristic cooler is somehow going to replace your need for a grill. They should have called it Barbacooler. Oh, and there's a folded camping chair being dragged back there also. Apparently you can sit on the Barbacooler without burning yourself. This is truly an amazing product. I have absolutely no idea why anybody would be interested in this, let alone 62,000 people. The campaign price for one cooler is $165. So if I consider the fact that I could get a regular cooler, a Bluetooth speaker, and a USB charger for less than that price, it would lead me to believe that the only innovative concept of this thing is the ability to bring a blender to the beach. That makes sense. It would be great if I was able to make slushies or frozen margaritas while I was relaxing on the beach. And short of inventing a battery-powered blender, it isn't possible, right? Wrong. This is called overthinking. Because any normal person who wants shaved ice at the beach puts shaved ice in their normal cooler and brings it to the beach. These people made over $13 million by solving a problem that never actually existed. And as far as I can tell, only 40,000 of the original 60,000 people have received their over-engineered coolers at this time. Supposedly, they're still trying to fulfill pre-orders despite actively selling the cooler on their website. Since it's been like 4 years, I'm willing to bet that nobody actually cares about this cooler at this point. So they probably just want their money back, but... The Skully AR1 was the Google Glass version of a motorcycle helmet. After starting on Indiegogo, the campaign gained $2.5 million from supporters and then gained $12.5 million from investors. It is pretty cool, I guess. I wouldn't say it's revolutionary or innovating, though. And besides, you don't need a rear view camera to see behind you on a motorcycle. That's what the mirrors are for. But I can understand the appeal. So what went wrong? Well, it turns out that the two brothers behind the Skully AR1 blew through their $15 million of funding by living a life of luxury. Apparently, they used it for everything from paying rent to buying sports cars. They bought an Audi R8, 2 Dodge Vipers, 4 new motorcycles, and spent the rest on trips to Vegas, limo rides, and strip clubs. And then the money was gone and they filed for bankruptcy. So after researching all of these crowdfunding failures and scams, the one thing that seems to stand out the most is that they all had good marketing. Whether the product was garbage or amazing, they marketed it well. And that's what made people donate their money to it. Some of these products are ridiculous, like the remote-controlled laundry detergent substitute. That's, they just had a good commercial, and that's what made people pay them money. So really, your project doesn't even have to be that great as long as you market it well. And it actually gives me an idea. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And don't forget to turn that bell on so that you know when my next video comes out, because this video might not have been that great, but my next video, let's just say you're not going to want to miss my next video, if you know what I mean. So don't forget to turn on that bell. And yeah, I'll see you next time.